Good evening, everybody. It's the Cryptid Huntress. I'm Jessica Jones. Welcome in, y'all. Gosh, we have a fantastic show for you guys tonight. I have my good friend, Arkheim Ra, here in the studio tonight. He tasked me with 3 separate remote viewing targets, and they are pretty mind-blowing. And we haven't really gone over them all together, he and I, not yet. We're going to do it live for you guys. But he did tell me what they are. And they do involve a UFO over a schoolyard, his schoolyard, when he was in kindergarten, ETs, alien abductions, and 2 of the targets actually were his bedrooms. Okay, bedrooms at home. It's really wild, y'all. Yeah, the data is just mind blowing for both of these. Of course, y'all know Arkheim. He has been took part in the Montauk project and Project Phoenix, and as a time cop, time soldier, all that kind of stuff. Gosh, y'all can imagine where this is going to go tonight with this data. And so I'm super proud of Arkheim for coming on the show and even tasking me with these kind of targets, because this is full disclosure. And his YouTube channel is called Disclosure Now with the exclamation point. And so we're all about this disclosure when it comes to the secret space program and its origins and all that kind of stuff. So this is what we're talking about tonight, y'all. And I'm going to make a couple of different comparisons too. You know, I've actually done some remote viewing on schoolyard UFOs and UFOs landing in a vicinity where there are children, and then the ETs being attracted to those kids and trying to talk to them and give them messages. And so we're going to go there tonight. I have at least 2 cases that I've remote viewed. One is the Kentucky goblins, actually. Okay, we're going to talk about that a little bit whenever it comes up, and also the aerial school UFO encounter with all those kids down in Zimbabwe. It was a mass sighting, I guess, is what you want to call that. And it's kind of similar to what we're going to be talking about with what happened with Arkheim when he was a kid. So I hope you guys are having a wonderful night. Let's see. If you guys would like to follow along with all the data for these remote viewing targets, I do have them posted in my Patreon. You guys are welcome to become a member over there. And I want to thank all of my Patreon members. You guys are amazing. I do appreciate y'all. If you're a VIP member, I do need your mailing address because I got little gifts for you guys. So be sure that you send me an email, thecryptidhuntress@gmail.com, please, with your address. I would appreciate that. Also, go to my website, y'all. If you want to get access to my social media and all that kind of stuff and the archives of all my shows, it's over at thecryptidhuntress.com. So that's where you can find me over there. And also, I do have a shop that's on sale for everybody that's watching the show. For everybody in the world right now, it's on sale. It's called Word Woman Goods. So thank you guys so much for all your support. It does mean the world to me. Okay. All right. Well, let's get to our show, because I'm going to read a little bit about what we're talking about tonight. And then I'm going to pull Arkheim up for you guys to meet. Some of y'all have never met Arkheim before, but most of you have. He's been on the show several times. Okay. All right. Over the past nearly 200 years, y'all, almost 200 years, schools across the United States and the world have been targeted and visited by UFOs. And in most cases, these UFOs hover for long periods of time within a low elevation, oftentimes landing next to the school. Humanoids are often seen. Usually it's little aliens, little green men or gray men. All types of schools have been targeted, from elementary schools to middle schools, colleges, and universities. Which leads us to the question, what do they want with the children? As a child in kindergarten, Arkheim Ra recalls an incident in his elementary school involving a spacecraft hovering over his school, landing and what appeared to be extraterrestrial beings exiting the craft. He also has memories of reptilians appearing at a community pool and grabbing children. Both experiences being quite traumatic, and only recently was he reminded of the events in flashbacks and in sudden realizations. Arkheim Ra is a starseed who was targeted for a super soldier espionage mind control program in U.S. public schools' talented and gifted program. He served at Montauk under Project Phoenix and has had several alters which engaged with time travel and alternate reality programs in what he believes may have been a swap alternate reality. Arkheim's authors have also worked with Waffen, Mars Defense Force, Solar Warden, Lunar Command, and more. His new book, Time and Space Unlimited, The Implications of Portal Technologies Explained, is available on Amazon. Arkheim tasked me with 3 separate coordinate remote viewing targets that are in regards to his encounter and, of course, his bedroom. And I love especially those the bedroom targets are going to kind of blow your mind, y'all. The bedroom he had as a kid and the bedroom he has now. And, as y'all know, watching my show, you know that I've had at least 2 encounters that I can remember with ETs in my bedroom. Okay. And for whatever reason, they like to come see us when we're in our bedrooms. Okay. Please help me welcome to the show my good friend, Mr. Arkheim Ra.
Hello, thank you for having me, Jessica. It's good to be here again.
Oh, thank you, Arkheim. Thank you for being here. Man, this is a really interesting target. Actually, 3 targets that you gave me. And I know you have experienced quite a bit in your lifetime when it comes to the secret space program, and it all started back when you were a little child. And is this the first thing that you remember ever happening to you as a kid when it comes to the programs that you've been a part of?
The memories of the things that happened to me when I was a child are obvious. You know how it is when you are. It's because I was in kindergarten and stuff. It was so long ago that they're not. Anybody's memories of those times usually aren't very clear. But yeah, this memory that I have of the spaceship showing up to the playground seems to be the earliest memory that I have of something weird happening in this lifetime. So, and it's how it happened is obviously you talked about some other memories that weren't as recent, but this one we're
Mm-hmm.
talking about now with the ship coming and the aliens coming out at the school. It came to me like the day before or the day of or something that I messaged you and said we should do a show. Um,
Yes.
and it was just like this flash. I was just playing guitar and trying to jamming. And if you're in the zone playing music, it's like meditation or something where your thoughts aren't. You're not really thinking, and sometimes that can be like a where you see things or things will come through. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I just saw like the memory just started, like kind of flashed like I remember the prince like so I guess I'll describe the memory. The
Okay.
memory that I have which is it's not a big memory, but the moment, like the event's pretty huge. But I don't have the full recollection of everything that happened quite yet. So hoping I remember more. I remember telling you that. That's why we waited to do a week. I don't really remember much more.
Mm-hmm.
But what I remember is like we're all playing, and then like spaceships are showing up. I don't know if it was. I feel like it might have been more than one. If the memory's like not super clear, but for sure one. And everyone noticed it, and everyone was reacting to it, and they didn't really know what to do. But then it landed, and the teacher kind of started like the teachers are kind of like, all right, like the kids were all freaking out, and they're kind of trying to like wrangle the kids, like, let's go back inside the building. And it got to the point where some of the kids were like curious, so they weren't going back in the building. And the principal was like, I remember the principal was like yelling, like, get back inside. And for me, it got to the point where when the aliens came out and started walking towards everybody, like they the kids were all running away. But I remember that like for whatever reason, I just stood there, and the memory, like I said, isn't that clear. But I feel like one of the aliens did begin talking to me, and it was talking sounded kind of weird because it was like this small alien, like it looked kind of like a gray. There's a picture that they have uh, of like an alien that people question whether or not it's real. I didn't find it for the show because I just can't find it. I know it's out there somewhere, but I've seen this alien where it's like it looks like the stereotypical gray, but the head shaped a little bit different. That's
Mm-hmm.
what they look like. I think it was that. It might have even been that very race alien or whatever. But like, yeah, I feel like they were in like little uniforms. They were like wearing, they were wearing clothes. They weren't like naked or whatever. And he said his name was. He said he was talking to me, and I don't remember the message. I don't remember what he had to say, but I remember that like he was speaking in an alien language, but like through like a telepathy in my mind, he was making me able to understand it. It was odd. It was like a language that I never heard, but because of his ability as an ET with telepathy, was really strong, he was able to make me like understand him, even though I wasn't even speaking a language that I'd ever heard before. And he told me his name was Michael, which is weird.
That's odd for an ET, right?
Yeah, that's what I thought was
very
weird.
earthly
like,
name.
That's part of the memory. Is he said something about his name being Michael, and now I do know from these mantid beings, the mantids, a lot of times they'll just give themselves. They speak of like clicks and hisses and stuff. So if a human wants to give them a name, they'll just say, usually just give like a human name, just like. So that could be why. Is that it's just a name that I'd be able to understand. That's easy, but they didn't really sound like they were speaking. He sounded like kind of, I don't know. It was weird. It's hard to explain. I feel like he could have. They're not speaking with like clicks and hisses. Like they sounded similar enough where I feel like that wasn't entirely necessary to. Where like his real name, I might have been able to say it. I don't know though. It's the memory is really, like I said, disjointed. And I can only imagine that they took me or I got on the spaceship or something. I don't think they just came out for no reason, right? And what's important to note about this is obviously there were lots of other people there, including my brother. And I asked him if he knew anything about it. He didn't even respond to the text message. So I don't think it's because he was afraid to say anything. I think it's because he thinks I'm a little looting or something. I don't think he thinks anything. I don't think he thinks anything happened. But I do think something happened, and I know that nobody else remembers it. I know that they somehow like deleted this event, and it's the same thing with the pool incident. I'm looking at the comment here. My friend got taken a few times and was floated through the wall and window. He could feel the material pass through, floated face up, high above his roof. He never wants to go through that again. Yeah, that's how the technology that they do use, they can use. It's like this graviton beam that sucks you through. There's some ET have the technology to just teleport you, but that's a technology that they use, and it is scary. Dr. David Jacobs claimed to have a window that was taken out of someone's house that had their shirt fused into it because because they got passed through the window and it got fused. Rest in peace, David Jacobs. I found out he's no longer with us.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, rest in peace, David Jacobs. I don't even know when that happened. It might have been a while, but like.
Well, Arkheim, you and I actually were at Montauk together, and part of the reason that we were up there, one of the reasons was to go experience that 20-year biorhythmic portal of the USS Eldridge, where they claimed that some of those men that were on board that ship got melded into the ship when they were doing those teleportation experiment.
So they were trying to it was experiments. So it was them trying to figure out that kind of technology. Now, Stubblebean, who the movie The Men Who Stared at Goats.
Yes, remote viewers.
Yeah, famously based on the Stubblebean projects, and that man, you can look it up. It's on his Wikipedia page, which is pretty easy to find. Obviously, he said his goal was to make soldiers be able to walk through walls.
There's a patent for it, I believe.
Yeah, there is a patent for it. And I can tell you from what I experienced in the programs, it is possible to walk through walls. It is possible to pass through. There's technology that can help with it, or you can do it through abilities that you have to train yourself to be able to have. But yeah, it's so. And that's through judging by. So one of the reasons why I wanted to hit you up about this is because obviously the memory isn't very clear. It's not very clear, and that's why I like doing some of these targets sometimes. Is the memories are really fuzzy, and I kind of want to see what the heck's going on with them. And it seems to me like from what the data you gathered, it might have to do with like secret space program weird stuff. Yeah. I don't know though.
Yeah, it's wild. It's really wild, actually. I never know what kind of targets you're going to give me. Now, of course, for the audience, and by the way, Arkheim, I met some wonderful people at the Georgia Bigfoot Conference about 3 weeks ago, and some of them were telling me, and this is no joke, they watch all my shows, and they said that one of the ladies there said that the Robot Grandma was her all-time favorite show on the channel. Okay,
It's a pretty good one.
It's a good one.
Shout out to Kat for
Yeah.
For finding that and
Yes.
having that become a show.
That was so awesome. If you guys missed that, please check that out. Shout out to Amy too. Amy's the one that said that was her favorite show out of all of them. And I meant to give her some grandma pins before she left. I forgot. But anyways, I'll mail them to you, Amy. But nonetheless, you know, I've gotten some really fantastic targets from you, and I would never just assume that you're just going to give me secret space program stuff. You know, every time you give me a target, you just give me a set of coordinates. That's all I get. And so with this one, Jennifer Patterson, thank you for that super sticker, by the way. I appreciate you so much. Thank you for being here, lady. But I got to tell you, when I got into this target, when you gave me this first target, I was clearly seeing an alien abduction. That's what I thought this target was, actually, from the get-go. Okay, and so describe to me exactly what this target is. Is it what happened to you at that schoolyard, or just the whole incident? What was the target?
Yeah, it was it was the memory of those aliens, and I guess it was like, who are they and what do they want and what happened. So I feel like by extension, you probably picked up on the fact that that wasn't the first. I don't think that was the only time that I think that they were showing up to my bedroom. And so,
Yes.
Full disclosures, I gave you the first target like a week ago, right?
Yes.
Once you gave me some of the information, I was like, okay, well, because we were getting bedroom stuff, which made sense to me because
yes,
yeah, because like I was abducted out of my bedroom, and I remember that like a lot. And by gray, they look like grays a lot, like they're kind of got their own thing going on. They look unique, but they do have the gray archetype kind of thing. That's what I remember. And yeah, it just lines up with the data. So I thought I would give you just my bedrooms to see, like, now, and then also at that time to see if maybe that would give us more information as to why you were picking up on that, and see what you could find.
Oh yeah, that was smart. Actually, that was super smart of you to do that. And wow, I love it. Okay. Well, let's just go ahead and get into the targets. Let's just dive right on in. Okay, because we do have 3 targets to go over tonight. So we might as well. Yes, everybody loves Robot Grandma. I see all these comments in here. And yes, Don, I passed through a wall once, hurt like hell. That guy hit hard. That's funny. I've seen some hands go through walls before. Okay, Don. So I know exactly what you're talking about. Y'all be safe out there. Okay, these streets is crazy. But yeah. Okay, let's get to it, Arkheim. Okay, the first target. Okay, so this is the incident when you were in kindergarten at your school. Now, where you grew up? Where, in Wisconsin?
Yeah, this particular school, okay. It was a preschool and kindergarten that I attended there. And it was in Stockbridge, Wisconsin. And my teacher there, her name was Miss Punt. And she was inappropriate with me as a child. I get memories of that. Yeah, nothing. I don't have any hardcore memories of like the real bad stuff, but like just stuff like her kissing me on the lips, and I don't want to get into anything more than that, but really weird things looking back at it. And having like a military fiance, and then like weirdly like memories of like secret field trips to their house and things like this. I touch upon it a little bit in my book.
Mm-hmm.
The memories are still really unclear, so I just don't have that much to say about it. But I know that there was something really weird going on. I also have this memory of like them using time displacement, and me feeling like helpless, because it's like there's no way for like this stuff was happening like right underneath the noses of like my parents and people around me, and there was no one for to notice that. For them to notice it, and I remember that felt like helpless. And yeah, I just wonder if like the alien showing, because like yeah, the fiance, he didn't seem like a normal military guy to me. He seemed like kind of like like I talk about. I don't know if I've ever talked about it on your show, but like there's these satanic people who have infiltrated parts of the military. You know what
Oh
I mean?
yeah,
Well, the white hats and
we've
the
talked
black
about
hats,
it.
they would be the black hats, right? The bad guys, right?
Right.
Um, I think he was one of them, and I think it was connected to the programs. It would only make
Yeah.
sense. They're doing this stuff where like, and maybe I'm wrong, but I just feel like I want to be clear. Like, you know, I was a child, like the memory is fuzzy, but like, you know, I remember that we'd have like snack time, and like they would have like the toast and like food color, like you put it on the toast, and then they'd have like nap time after that. And I almost wonder if that was some weird like MK Ultra, like some sort of drug or something that was in
Might
that.
have been some kind of
And like,
LSD or something.
yeah, like they're doing some weird
Hmm.
stuff. Like I kind of think they were, but who
Yeah.
knows? I was
You
a
know,
child, and the memories are not that clear. That's kind of why I wanted, like I said, to have your remote view it, maybe bring some clarity to whatever happened here.
oh my gosh. Well, it's just, it even in the general public now, like things are becoming more exposed with the public, and it's more common for people to have heard about the Montauk project and to hear about these mind control programs and MK Ultra, even Project Mockingbird and all the stuff that's going on, pretty much to deceive the masses and to do horrible experimentation on children, and with the whole Epstein thing that's come out, and it's all the connections to our governments and stuff. It's unfortunately this is what's been going on. Okay, and it's even I've done my research into a lot of this SAR, the satanic ritual abuse, and I guess it's SRA. Actually, I may have said that wrong. That kind of abuse, and the children being taken, and just like yourself potentially. I have a good friend of mine who lives here in Georgia who went to, and it's my friend Bryce with Esoteric Atlanta. She's got a YouTube channel, but she and I are friends in real life too, not just online. But she went to a private school and had some very seedy, horrible things happen to her there as well, and it has ties to secret societies, unfortunately, and so that's just the it's just the beast that we're exposing, unfortunately. Okay, and so all of the things that we have talked about on our shows here, Arkheim, and things you discuss publicly at your presentations you give, and stuff, it's all kind of, the dots are connecting. Okay, and I think that's no different with these targets as well. And so let's get into this first target. And I'm very sorry that happened to you too, Arkheim. My heart just bless your heart. My heart breaks thinking about you being a child and having these things happening to you. No child should have to go through that. And
There's it's yeah, I agree.
yeah, yes, okay, well let's shine some light on it. Okay, I guess that's what we can do tonight. Let's shine a little bit of light on it, and try to maybe kind of work this out a little bit. Okay, because so when I first got into this target, and I will go through the sensory data, and then we'll go to the analytic overlay, and then I'm going to talk about my drawing that I did. We can kind of figure out what that is, and then we'll go to stage 4. That's the next page for this target. Okay, so I gotta say, right when I got into this target, what I saw was, it looked like a child in a bed. It looked like somebody in a bed. Okay, that's what I thought I was looking at, was somebody in a bed with an ET in the room. Okay, that's what I thought. That was my analytic overlay. Okay, that doesn't mean that that's what the target is. It means that that's what I was analyzing, what I was looking at, and that's what I thought it was. Okay, so my sensory data right off the bat is beside, looking, watching, communicating, light, interrupted, violent, forceful, flash, emotional, linear, bright, and flashing again. So I got flash twice, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Which is interesting, right? Because that kind of sounds similar to, like, well, maybe, I don't know if you guys were watching flashing lights. I don't know, but there was something that you were looking, they were looking at you, you were looking at them. Something was, maybe your recess was interrupted. I mean, it kind of sounds like it could be on target for what this is, right?
I think it's just these same ET were in my bedroom way more often than they
Mm-hmm.
were on that playground. I think that was just the first time that they ever contacted me.
Yes.
And so we moved to Appleton, from Stockbridge, and the target that I gave you for my bedroom was not the Stockbridge one bedroom, but that bedroom actually. So the second target.
Wow.
So yeah, I just think that that's really what's going on is these ET are connected to all those bedroom abductions that I was going through.
Okay, yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. Well, so I actually saw a bedside table and I wrote that down. That was part of my analytic overlay. I wrote stranger danger. And you know that Archie, that's wild because that's what I tell my kids. That's what we teach our kids. Like, don't be around strangers. You know, stay away from people you don't know. That's stranger danger, right? That's what you tell kids. So I wrote down. I picked up on a bedside table, stranger danger, unknown visitor. See, I didn't label it as an alien or ET. I just said an unknown visitor. Okay, there's somebody. So it could have been anything, right? Unknown visitor, a room, a mirror. I got to ask you a question real quick. You have actually talked. You and I have talked about mirrors being portals and like being in a hotel room and people coming through a mirror, right, Arkheim?
I've walked through mirrors before. That's what we would use to. That's what we would use at Montauk for.
Okay.
Once we got to the more advanced phase of things, we would use mirrors to open portals.
That's what I thought. That is what I thought. Wow. Okay. Okay. So, unknown visitor, room, mirror, flashbang. Okay. So what I kept picking up on something flashing, right? And I actually wrote down flashbang, ears ringing. The next thing I wrote down was government and special programs. A flashbang, ears ringing, government, special programs. And there were intentions behind it because I heard somebody say, keep calm. Okay. And the next things that I wrote were dynasty and lineage. And then I wrote down cover up stars. I kept hearing probella. I don't know what that means. So I wrote down probella and then I wrote down problems. So probella, I thought I was hearing like Italian. I literally thought I was hearing something in Italian or some other language. I couldn't tell what I was listening to. But I thought they said probella.
Probably
and then,
Latin.
And then I wrote down problems. So maybe it was problems in another language. I don't know. But then I was seeing flickering lights. So there was a whole lot of flashing lights going on. A lot of flashing lights.
Yeah, which from what I recall is, there'd be a flooding light. They'd come in and it's all kind of a blur, but it just lines up with what I remember. And like every night I would hide underneath my blanket because I knew that something would show up in my room or could. I don't know if it happened every single night, but I knew that something could show up in my room. And it was so scary, I didn't want to see what it was that was taking me. So I would like cover up my face and like I don't want to look at whatever it was that was taking me. And yeah, obviously it was for the program. So I want to bring something up here. So where I live on the corner of Peter Street and Buchanan, I think it is. And right across from there, there's a laundromat, and behind my house, there's this laundromat. Behind the laundromat, there's a hill, and where the hill is, there's a water treatment facility. And basically, I found this video of Al Bielek, who, for those who don't know, who aren't familiar with the Montauk Project and well versed on it, which is a lot of people, I'm sure. He was a part of the Montauk Project, and he was one of the main perpetrators. He would process the children, figure out which ones were psychic, stuff like that, and basically he did a video about the expansion of the Montauk Project, the expansion of the mind control, basically explaining how it was there wasn't just Montauk, it was all over the country. And he explained the process of building up the bases, the underground facilities, and they basically said that you would start with a structure, you'd build a structure on the surface, and then you'd you'd basically bury it in a hill, right? And
Mm-hmm.
then drill from there and build downward from there underneath the
Hmm.
hill. And you can tell that this water treatment facility right there, okay,
Yeah.
that's what it was. It was so and it was right behind my house. So I sort of
Oh.
feel like every night when these ET showed up, I feel like that might have actually been where I was being brought, was this government facility that's connected to the water treatment facility in Appleton, Wisconsin. And what's another thing that's interesting about it is the first um, paranormal event that I ever had that they didn't wipe my memory of, that they kind of really for this, like it's probably like it's just one of the threads that just unthreaded and kind of opened my eyes to all the weird stuff going on. Was I was walking home from school one day. I was in second grade, which is also where the I didn't realize it at the time because I was just mind controlled and totally unaware. But like that was the height of all the stuff, the weird stuff they were doing to me was second grade. That was definitely the height of it. And I was walking home and I saw above the hill, above the water treatment facility, which is surrounded by a barbed wire fence and like military has military gate and stuff. By the
Mm-hmm.
way, there's a flying saucer just floating there.
Huh.
Like yeah, it's just floating there, just sitting there. And I'm just thinking, what the hell? And I pound on the door, or I yell into my house, and my dad comes out, and my dad saw it too. It was just floating there, and I went inside. We had little disposable cameras. I was only in second grade, but what would anybody want to do when they see a UFO, right? They want to take
Yeah.
a picture of it. So I was looking for one of those disposable cameras that my family had. I didn't know where my parents put them, but I just kind of was guessing and like looking through drawers and stuff. And my dad lived across the street. He didn't like he was just at my mom's. It was a complicated relationship between my parents. It's but he was there at the time. Anyway, yeah. So that was like the first thing was this ship appearing up like it was above the water, and I'm realizing like now more than ever like it's all connected, right? The flying saucer over the water treatment facility, like the fact that that's where we probably even lived, and like you're saying Truman Show, like yeah,
Yes.
they
Yeah.
set it all up like ahead of time, like they set it all up for me to live
Yes.
right across the street from the freaking place basically,
Yeah.
and just everything is just all set up. It's which is it makes you feel like nails on a chalkboard when you start realizing how they set up your life when you're in these programs like me. It gets really irritating.
Yeah.
It
I
feels like
I
a violation, like in the worst way you could imagine.
I feel like that too. That's one thing that upsets me the most, I think, is like, the more research that I do and the more I tap into who I am and what I'm doing here and all that kind of stuff, I'm like, wow, I think that I have a lot of us, not everybody, but a lot of us have been monitored our entire lives by somebody. And it, I don't think it's a good thing. Okay, but nonetheless, I mean, who knows at this point? I don't know anymore. Okay, but it does feel like a huge violation in a lot of ways. But yeah, and so what Arkheim is referring to, y'all, we're going to get to in one of the next targets because I did, I think it's one of the next. Yeah, it's going to be one of the next targets. I did pick up on the Truman Show. Okay, like as though someone has been monitoring Arkheim for quite some time. Okay, so we're gonna get into that in just a minute. But yeah, Tennessee, Kentucky Bigfoot. Hey, he says hills and pyramids are vortexes of power. And that's and to have water. You said the water towers right there and all that kind of stuff. They're definitely utilizing those grid lines and the water flows and all that kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
it's right off the river. It's right
Hmm.
off the Fox River. So that's another thing.
Interesting. Okay. Well, Super interesting. Okay. Well, when I was remote viewing this, I kept seeing flashes of light, and I was feeling like there was and I wrote flashbangs, like an explosion. And this is kind of the picture that I drew right here. It's it looked like just energy going outward. Okay, like a lot of energy of some sort. But
I think it has something to do with like they like distort time in order
yes,
to take you the way they take you and have the people around in the neighborhood and everything else not notice it. They like distort time. Something that's like it starts with like a light flooding your room. I remember that. Like it always starts with just this real bright light flooding the room. So that makes sense to me that you got that.
okay. Well, the next thing now this target. Okay, it's so wild because this target is where you had the experience with the UFO at your school, and I am actually drawing like a layout plan of like a room or maybe it was a school. I don't know. It could have been anything, but I actually wrote a floor plan. I drew out a floor plan for a building. Okay. And I was looking from the top down at like a floor plan. Okay. And that's what I was seeing when I was remote viewing this. It was like a floor plan. It was at first I started drawing like with a lot of the targets I get for you, I always end up with a cube. Okay. And so I wrote down, there was actually a cube and it's usually in the exact same spot on every target. It's usually on the second page, stage 4. It's like the second or third thing that I draw is a cube. I don't know why I do that every time. It's just part of the target when I do a target for you. But I did pick up on a room and a floor plan and mapped out. Something was mapped out, and I kept picking out on something that was mapped out, and they were on a mission. So I heard a voice say on a mission, a recon mission, reconnaissance mission. Okay, so recon is what I wrote down next. And then I literally saw a door. Okay, because I'd written out that floor plan and I kept seeing a door. And I wrote down a vault door, a doorway, or a threshold. Okay, and a threshold. I wrote all that down. And what I was seeing was something out of I've seen something out of a John Wick movie. I wrote down John Wick movie. And then I started seeing and I wrote down Taken. And I wrote down Taken movie. I think it's Liam Neeson or Nielsen. Okay, and I wrote that down too. And but that's where he's like, I think the Taken movie is like where his daughter gets kidnapped, if I'm not mistaken. So it's like a dad hunting down the people who took his daughter. I'm pretty sure. But I was getting a lot of anxiety, and I wrote down anxiety and angst, like what I was experiencing when I was remote viewing this. And I felt like I was in an adventure movie. Like I felt like I was like in some kind of crazy action-packed movie because that's what it felt like. And then I heard somebody say, "I will find you." Okay, so I heard, "I will find you," and that was the last thing I wrote down for that target. Okay, I ended it right there.
That's creepy.
Yeah, I was getting. Well, it was right under the Taken
Do you
movie.
think they were talking to you?
I don't know. No, I don't know. It was part of this target. I don't think they were talking to me. But I heard, "I will find you," and it wasn't like in a sinister way, like somebody was coming to get somebody. It was like, "I will find you. I will help you. I will save you." Like that thing. It was from that Taken movie. It's like the dad saying, "I will find you," or maybe he was saying, "I'll find you to her kidnappers." I don't know. But I just heard, "I will find you." Okay, so you can interpret it anyway, basically. Okay, but I did hear that.
I got a memory back while you were telling me all that. I was strapped to this chair in like like a like a like a what was it called? Like when they put you in the loony bin, like a padded room, the
The
shirt
padded
they
room,
put
the
you in,
straight jacket.
the straight jacket. I was in the straight jacket and I was in the chair and I was leaning back and I had this cap on my head and there are all these things, all these wires coming out of it, and they're hooked up to some sort of like machine above me. I just like saw that while you were talking to me, and I think it was a memory.
Oh my gosh! Now that would have been something that would have occurred with the Montauk project, right? With the mind control, and for people who aren't familiar, which most people watching are, but
I
the
don't
Montauk.
think I think I was on the moon.
Okay.
I'm getting this weird feeling that whatever that was on the moon. I don't know how I know that. I just know it, and it has something to do with like this everything we're talking about now. And
Okay.
yeah, because I know they took me to the moon. I've talked about it before, and I have memories of it. But that specific memory. It's the first time I've ever had that.
Oh, I gotta say, Moondog Davis, he wrote down Archons, and I gotta say, Archons is in my data for one of the next targets. Actually, that's wild. Okay, it actually is in my data for the third target. That's actually for your bedroom today. Okay, that's in there. That's interesting. So, Stranger Things, the Netflix TV series, was based off of the Montauk Project. For anyone who's not familiar with that, and so you'll see like 11, the little girl. This is the main character, strapped in the first season. She has like the thing on her head with all the wires coming out of it, where they're doing mind control
That show was
experiments with
interesting
her.
because imagine for me that came out before I got my memories back, right?
Yeah.
And I was
Yes.
watching it, and all I could think, it wasn't really like I wasn't to the point yet where the walls in my mind were thin enough where it was bringing memories back. The later seasons when they came out, that yes, but when I first started watching it, all I could just think is this is happening. This is real. Like they're really doing this. Like I just
Hmm.
knew it. Like I knew they're just really doing it. And it's like, yes, because I experienced so many of the stuff that they show. And that show, yeah, it's a little different. It's a TV series, movie, Hollywood, version of it. It's a lot more, honestly, like it doesn't show the hardcore horror parts of it. Really, honestly, it's pretty soft core compared to the real thing, but it does show a lot of what it's like. It really does. Pretty accurate, really.
Oh wow, yeah, that's it's a pretty good series, y'all. Too, if you want to watch it. I had the privilege of going to Montauk with Arkheim, everybody who's listening right now, and with a group of people. It's almost been 2 years now. It's been like a year and a half, but we went up there, and that was a pretty cool experience actually. But I know it was pretty emotional for people who had been part of that program up there, including yourself. So okay, well, do we want to go on to the next target already? I mean, shall we, or do you want to discuss this target? Okay, maybe we should discuss it just a little bit, because I'm seeing a recon mission. Okay, I'm seeing it's like they had something mapped out, or either maybe I'm looking at the school, like a layout of the school or something, because I'm seeing a floor plan. It's like they went there on a mission. Okay, they went there on a mission. Maybe you are part of the mission. That's what I'm picking up on. Um, I mean, do you think there were other kids at your school? I know you'd mentioned your brother. Do you think there were other kids? You remember ever seeing any of them in the programs with you?
Yes.
Yeah.
So there's a few. There's a few. There's a number of people from my hometown that I remember from the programs. That's part of how I know that like Appleton has something weird going on. Is because I remember so many of them from the programs, and not only that, like the schools I cleaned. Like I trained these kids, and it was there was a program at the school that I cleaned, and like I recognized these kids from the programs and stuff like that too, from Centurion 5, because it was connected to Centurion 5, the colonization of Centurion 5, the school. So it's like um yeah, it's a whole operation, and I'm definitely not the only person involved.
Okay.
I seem to. I'm not just trying to toot my own horn here. I know this is, of course, everybody would say this, right? But I really do think I'm. When it comes to ranks and whatever the heck and this stuff, it seems like I'm pretty high up. So it seems like to me, and it seems like your data has reflected that multiple times.
Yes. Yeah. Uh, the best in the business. That
Yeah.
that comes up occasionally. Yeah. By the way, we're having a really hard storm right now. It is like blowing everything outside. So yes, and there's Erin. Erin's been on the show before too. Hey, Erin, thank you for being here today. Um, okay, and she says, "Me too, Arkeem. It was before I remembered." Oh my gosh. Okay. And there's a lot of people. How many people do you think, Arkheim, if you had to give like a number, how many people have been involved in the secret space program? I mean, this has been going on for a long time, right?
Well, yeah, no, I would say millions of people.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's look at. I don't know if I've ever talked about this on your show. I'm sure the audience will find this fascinating, and this is me parroting some of Penny Bradley's testimony. So I want to shout out Penny. But basically, Penny has talked about, and to me, this is some of the best evidence for the fact that the secret space program, time travel stuff is real. Honestly, and you know the stories of like Valhalla, right, and Valkyrie.
Yes. Oh
Basically,
yeah.
the legend is that these warriors and there were women and golden armor came from ships that came from the sky, mind you, came to the battlefield
ETs.
refract to well no they were humans. Hear me out here. Came
Yeah.
to the battlefield to recover the heads basically of people to bring them to like heaven for warriors or whatever. What they were really doing, this is crazy. Like this is bananas. I know it's hard to wrap one's mind around, but when you consider the implications of this technology and what it can be used for, yeah, this is the kind of stuff they use it for. So what they would do is they would bring all these heads back to the ship and they would throw them in the regeneration things. They have the technology to where they can if I can't remember the amount of time and there's problems the longer you wait, like it's harder or whatever, but a person can die, and if you recover their body within a certain window, you can just make them alive again with these machines they have. And so
Reanimation, huh?
yeah, reanimation. They call like med beds, like,
Mm-hmm.
and it's kind of like Mickey 17 shows it. That movie that just came out. That's an excellent movie. Highly recommend
Is it?
everybody to watch it. Yes, it's great. It's not only that, it's like a civil rights movie, like a SSP civil rights movie.
Oh,
Like
really?
literally, it like
It's an
shows like
interesting combo.
yeah, well,
Okay.
it's like showing like this technology that's out there that in the movie it's hypothetical, but like they're showing how dangerous it can be and how it can be like enslave people. Basically, they show
Yeah.
it real well at the movie, and it's wrong. I don't want to give spoiler alerts, but they really show a real job of how it's wrong and how like this colony like that they build because they can create their own laws. It shows how they address it after they realize like, oh, this is kind of messed up. Like after certain things happen, I don't like I said, I don't want to give spoilers because I do recommend people to watch it. I think it's inspiring. Humanity at its best. It's that kind of movie. Like it shows like what we can do and we're at our best. Which is good. We need more inspiration in this world. But yeah, forget where were we at? I got distracted by talking about Mickey 17.
Um, I don't remember either. Well, we were
Oh
just
yeah,
talking about.
Valkyrie.
Oh yeah,
We're
the
talking
the
about
people in gold that came down from
so
the skies.
yeah. So basically, they were
They
they
were
were
humans.
they're populating Mars. So these
Okay.
people are from the future, the terrain of Mars, and the beginning phases and stuff like that. It's very rough. You need to be used to not needing like like much, living primitively, that kind of stuff. These people are from back in time. So they literally would like reanimate these people and like, hey, do you want to be soldiers and go to a paradise that's away from your enemies and stuff like that? And they bring you to Mars. And they always tell you this stuff. Oh, it's paradise. Fucking Mars is not paradise. I mean, it's not some people love it. It depends on where you're at and what you're doing. Like a lot of places, you know what I mean. Like, but like I would not call it paradise, and they really do sell it to you. They really do sell it to you when they want to bring you there and talk you into going there. Like I've heard stories of people saying like they tell you, oh, there's women, you'll get women and all this stuff, and they just tell you like sell you on the like the streets are
All the
paving.
ladies you could
Yeah,
ever
all the streets
imagine,
are
right?
paved. It kind of reminds me of like before people came to America and they said all the streets are
Yeah.
paved with gold and stuff. It's
Oh
like that
right.
kind of thing because they want people to colonize
They're trying to sell it.
Mars. They're trying to sell it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, and that's that
All the
that
honeys
that
over here.
legend. Penny actually remembers that, like being a part of that, and like the fact that like being a part of the Valkyrie operation, and they were aware of the legends of the Valkyrie, and they thought, oh, some weird, and they realized as they were doing it, they're fulfilling the legend. So it was like a self fulfilled prophecy, and it was an example of what they call predetermination. There's some stuff that just seems to I've witnessed it many times in the programs.
Oh,
certain stuff that just seems. Oh, yeah, but anyway, yeah. So that technology, they can reanimate people. And I forget why I was bringing that up. Why was I bringing that up? Um,
Well,
but it's ADHD is
I know, right?
yeah.
I don't know. It's well, you're talking about people's heads getting chopped off and stuff too. So I can't believe that there's actually technology that you can actually take a severed body part and create an entire human out of it.
Yeah,
That's wild.
yeah. They use it for like they kind of show it in Mickey 17. Like I remember this guy
Mhm.
like when I was in Mars Defense Force, we would have to take out raptor nests or certain nests full of spiders or whatever, ants or what have you. And a lot of times we would send this guy in there with like a backpack strapped to his back, and we would have his DNA or whatever on file. I forget exactly how I did it, but basically, I'd go in there, set off the bomb, explode the place, and we could just reanimate him and have a party about it, basically.
Wow.
And yeah, it's wild. And I see this guy walking around. It's like I said, I see him walking around Appleton. It's kind of weird.
Wow. As you're saying that, I'm thinking about, I have an uncle he's retired. He was, lifetime military guy. Okay. And he did some contract work. He's retired now. Okay. He's retired, long retired. But he and I have had some really interesting conversations about some of the technology that they were working with. And as far as identifying bodies go, and it's like a DNA sample kit kind of thing where you can put in like 5 samples. The just do DNA testing on the spot to find out if somebody's who you think they are or not, right? And identifying, pieces of body parts and stuff, by
Yeah,
DNA.
think. You just kind of
It's kind of like that.
think
Yeah.
about it for a moment. All the information that they're able to get
Yeah.
from a little spit sample or whatever, and then
Right.
find out all that stuff about your past and your entire genetic lineage and who
Exactly.
was your great 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 grandfather and stuff like that. And
Exactly.
that's crazy, right? And what we're getting at here, what I'm trying to say is that they've got it down to a crazy science where
Yeah.
you can die and they can bring you back to life and you remember everything, you remember dying and everything. It's you. Like it's not like they just fixed you and it's a new you or something. Like no, like it's literally you come back to life. It's crazy.
It's absolutely wild. And I was talking with him about that because, as far as like Bigfoot research goes and cryptid research goes, how cool would that be to, be able to take a little hair sample that we find out in the field, and within a matter of minutes we can stick it in a little machine, and I think it's like $5,000 per every like strip that you can use, and it's 5 samples. It's like $1,000 per sample or something like that. But people with money, people that want to sponsor it, that's it's nothing for some people. But to be able to do that, but just think about how more advanced the technology that they actually have really is. That's just what's out in the public right now. That's what's
Mm-hmm.
been trickling down recently in the past couple of years. But it's way beyond that. And so it's just a good example, of like what we have and what they're showing us right now is compared to what they've always had, Arkheim, like what you've experienced. Okay, so I think it's pretty fantastic actually. So, but nonetheless, getting back to the targets. Okay, so this target, it does appear as though I did pick up on some sort of an alien abduction is what I got. Okay, some sort of I never wrote the word alien down. Okay, but there was an uninvited visitor that took somebody. Okay, they were taking someone, and I would say through the Stranger Danger, through the Liam Neeson movie, and it says I will find you, and Taken, and John Wick. There was a kidnapping involved here. Okay, I'm going to say kidnapping,
Yeah.
kidnapping. Someone that was
Yeah, I would like thank you. What happened to me, I would say very clearly was kidnapping
mhm,
and it was illegal and whoever was responsible for it should go to jail. I mean, if they're still
mhm.
alive, I would love to see that because it was wrong. Like,
Yeah,
and And yeah, I was kidnapped. It was a kidnapping. That's what it was. I was kidnapped.
Mm-hmm. Yes, this is clearly what I picked up on in this target right here. Okay, and that is at your. This target was at your school. Okay, it was at your school. My AOL was picking up maybe in like a bedroom or something, or a place that had a bedside table. I wrote that down, but I don't know. That's what I was picking up on for that target. But it was clearly an uninvited visitor in someone's personal space. Okay, and so that target with all that data actually made you think, well, let me see if Jessica can remote view my bedroom as a kid and then my bedroom now, right? And so you just told me what these targets are today. So now, like tonight, before the show, I guess. And it's really wild because I sent you the first target and you said that this was it the drawing that I did, or was it just all the data? You said it was pretty spot on, right?
Yeah, I thought the second one was even more
Okay.
spot on, which we can get into if you want.
Okay, let's get into the first target, which was your bedroom as a child. Now, if you were actually having these abduction experiences, this is where did it usually take place, you think, in your bedroom most of the time?
Yeah, I know that they took me out of school sometimes, but I got abducted at night too. So yeah, they got abducted a lot when I was a kid. I was afraid. I was terrified of being abducted by aliens. I mean, my parents even everybody knew that I was afraid of getting abducted by aliens.
Wow, so that's something like you were vocal about getting abducted by
Yeah,
aliens.
yeah. No, I was one. I
Yeah.
told people about it. Yeah, and I thought it was happening. They thought I was getting abducted by aliens. That's what I told people. So I was.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, I have definitely had the two times that I can recall being face to face with ETs was in my bedroom. Okay, both times were in my bedroom that I remember. Okay, that's what I remember. It's probably been way more than that.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I think part of the reason why it's always bedrooms is well, it's easy to take advantage of people when they're in their bedrooms when they're
They're
in this
sleeping.
sleeping, but also B, I think it because it's not always negative, right? I think it just has something to do with you being in that state of like half asleep and like that certain part of your brain is activated and maybe it makes them easier to interact with us because they are kind of on this different wavelength like vibration than we are. I think that it's a little bit of depending on the situation, it's a little bit of both, I think, you know.
It is. I had a really interesting conversation with Tony Merkel one time. I was on his show over on the Confessionals podcast, and we were talking about my experience waking up and having something tall standing by my bed. Different times I had ETs in my room, and I told him, I was like, I was really perplexed and confused as to why my dogs would not wake up. And my son was in my room too. He was a little baby back then, and of course he wasn't going to wake up. Okay, he didn't wake up for much anything, but the dogs were my guard dogs. Okay, that was my first line of defense. Okay, and for them just to lay there, and so it was so confusing because I was like, well, am I dreaming or is this real? And I had been taught, because I was doing remote viewing back then, I'd been taught to like figure out how if I was asleep or awake. And so I did my little exercise, and I was clearly awake. But he said, well, what if you were awake but you were just in their realm and they weren't in yours? You were in their dimension, and you were awake in their dimension, not in yours. Like I was in the 3D here, but I was in like the fourth or fifth D, or maybe even below somewhere. Okay. But just a couple of steps down, you know what I mean? Or steps up. And so, because I know that you and I both operate in other dimensions. You and I both do. Most of us do. Okay. A lot of people, especially people watching this show. But anyways, okay. Well, okay. For this target, I drew what looks like a bed, actually, in this one, and with little feet and everything on it. And I thought that was really cute. I'll show the audience what the picture looks like right there, if you guys want to see it. Kind of looks like a bed or something. I don't know. I actually thought I was drawing the back of somebody, but then when you told me what it was, I was like, well, that looks like a bed, actually. So okay. Were you wondering, like, through this data, were you kind of wondering, like, am I going to pick up on you being abducted out of your room? or did you just want me to see what your room looked like?
I'm definitely definitely getting taken out of this place as well. I wanted to see what the differences are, really, like, because is it the
Okay.
same thing? Is it the same people? Um, just want to see what you saw, and for me, also just like validation, because it's like if you pick up on it, it's just like I'm just giving you my bedroom. It's the most innocuous thing ever.
Yeah, it's just the bedroom. It's pretty cool though. This is pretty interesting. Okay, so here we go. So this was Arkheim's bedroom as a kid. Okay, so these are some of my sensory data that I picked up on. Flowing, dense, sharp, fast, oppressive, overwhelming, green, dark green, scaly, committed, studious, zoom, and boom. Okay, that's what I would picked up on with my sensory data. Now I can't. Okay, the first thing I wrote down. Remember the first target that I had with the UFO at the school. I kept picking up on a flash or like a flash bang. I picked up on a blast again, so I wrote down blast. And then I wrote down beings, and I saw a green being, not a green bean, but a green being. I wrote down commitment and on a mission, student and studying. Picked up on a student and studying. And then I heard a voice say, student of the universe. I wrote down political and police, enforcers. I wrote down, what else? Malady. Okay, malady. Ingrained. I actually wrote down puppet. Okay, puppet, controlled and controlled opposition. And then I wrote down the phrase freedom fighter. Okay, and this is for your bedroom. Okay, your bedroom. And then I drew that picture that I showed the audience just then. What do you think about that so far? Does that sound weird? What do you think about this data?
It is kind of odd.
Yeah, I did pick up on a student. Okay, a student, which is interesting.
Am I the student or like?
You would be the student if this is your bedroom. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd say you're the student. Yeah, student studying. I was also picking up on a green being as well, though. But beings and somebody that was on a mission. Okay, was in this room, but controlled. Okay, all right. Okay, so the next page, I wrote down some more analytic overlay first because I was really picking up on that more than anything on it first, and it was like I kept hearing the word either Matahari or Marahari, and I don't know who that is or what that is. I should have looked it up before the show tonight, and I forgot. But Matahari, final boss. I wrote down final boss, and a dimensional doorway. Okay, and here I go. I drew another box. Okay, another cube, and it was something to do with dimensions. But I wrote down that was part of my sensory data, and I actually wrote dimensional doorway and dimensional superhighway.
My bedroom, everybody.
That's Arkheim's bedroom as a child, but it was a door. I picked up on a door.
Wait, so is this the child one or the new one now?
This is your child. This is your kid's bedroom.
Oh wow.
Yeah, this is all from when you were a kid.
Holy shit. I thought this was the other one.
No, this is now. And okay, so here's the thing. I wrote down door in that first target you gave me. I was picking up on a threshold and a door. That's really weird because I actually wrote a doorway in this target too. So I'm picking up on doors and doorways and thresholds. That's like portal information right there. Mm-hmm. Okay, a door, or a closet. Those are considered portals, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, or even windows and doors. Those are considered portals.
Yes.
But yeah, this is from when you were a kid. This is your kid room, and I wrote down dimensional superhighway, and I was seeing something. It was black and it was dark when I was remote viewing. But dimensional doorway. What I thought I was seeing was like darkness with like stars, kind of like I was in outer space or something. But I didn't write that. I wrote space, void, darkness, and parallel and jump. I wrote jump timelines. That's what I wrote. Jump timelines. And this was all your bedroom for when you were a kid right here. Okay, and that's where I ended the target. So
That's intense.
that was that one.
It's wild.
Yeah. Okay, and this is pretty this is around the time you were living there when you recall being put into this, the tag programs, right? That was, you said, around second grade.
Yes.
And this is where you were staying back then, and this is where you were having the uncomfortable experiences with your teachers, and getting taken, and you were clearly in the program
actually,
around that time.
the first target, the school, that was in Stockbridge, where
Okay.
Miss Punt was in Stockbridge.
Okay.
I don't have any weird memories with the teachers from the school and
Okay. Well, good. Well, all right. So, okay, but that was your bedroom back then, and when you were potentially taken, and knowing what you know now, how do you feel about that target? Because I saw the data for that one. How do you feel about it? Even with the dimensional doorways and the portals and all that kind of stuff. I mean, does it change how you look at your childhood, kind of? Because you were already having memories of strange things happening.
I mean, it just validates it, really. That's all. It's just validation to me, and it's what I already knew.
Yeah.
I already knew it was real. I just am always interested to see what more information or what we can find when we look into this stuff.
Yes. Heck yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Okay, well, before we go to the third target, okay, why don't we back up a little bit and let's talk about another schoolyard UFO. Okay, because we're still I wanted to kind of focus on when you were a kid, and then we'll go into your present day after we talk about the aerial school UFO incident. Okay, and I thought this would be kind of an interesting thing for us to discuss, because I think that this may have some ties to the SSP and stuff. I mean, this happened to children. I think it was back in 1994, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I'll pull up a picture. So here, I think I've got a couple. This is actually, I think those are the kids. They all drew what they saw, and I'm always telling everybody, Arkheim, I'm a proponent of showing, drawing what you experience. Okay, because a lot of times if we have an experience with ETs or even cryptids or anything weird, we forget about it pretty quick. Sometimes you'll never forget it, but sometimes you can't remember all the details, right?
This is the Zimbabwe one?
Yes, this is the one. Preston didn't wrote a book on this. I don't know Preston, but I know he wrote a book on this, and Barry was telling us about it on the UFO encounters. There's a lot of UFO encounters, Arkheim, with school children and schoolyards, by the way.
Yeah, I've seen the interview of Dr. John Mack interviewing those kids, the Zimbabwe kids. It's pretty wild.
It is very wild, and they all drew what they saw. Okay, a lot of them, there were little, let me read this. It says, on September of 1994, at the aerial school in Rua, Zimbabwe, over 60 children claimed they had seen one or more silver crafts descend from the sky and land in a field near the playground. They claimed that aliens with big eyes approached them, communicating telepathically with an environmental message, scaring the children, causing them to cry. Critics claim that it could have been a case of mass hysteria. However, there have been multiple reported school-related UFOs, alien encounters over the years, and all these kids drew exactly what they saw. Okay, and this is not completely uncommon, Arkheim, for this to happen, and it's at schools that range from elementary schools to middle schools to high schools to college and universities. My question is what is the purpose of all of these encounters? Why do you think that they would target the children?
I'm not sure. I honestly don't have the answer to that. If I were to guess, I would say that they are trying to reach, because I remember the one with the Zimbabwe kids. They had a message about treating the environment better and stuff, right?
Yes.
So I think they're just trying to reach these kids while they were young and impressionable, and that's honestly an important message. If we tip the scale too far, as far as how badly we treat the Earth, it's gonna cause our like literal like our own extinction, right? Like we do need to be treating the Earth better. It's a pretty important message, and it doesn't seem that crazy to me that ET would want to come down and make these children aware of it. And that's just one time that look at like what happened with me. They deleted it. Nobody remembered it. How many times has that happened where these ET come down and they give a message like that and then somehow it's like edited out or whatever? I don't know. But it's
mind wipes.
But yeah, it's so common, and it's like because it's happened a lot of times. Like I don't think we just like there's reported cases, but what about all the unreported cases? Because people don't like coming public when they see this kind of stuff, even if it's large groups of people.
Yeah,
it's just too weird, and you get this. Especially, it's more different now, but back in the day, like you get this sort of reputation if you talk about this kind of stuff as a group.
yeah.
So, I don't think
I know.
people always come forward about it. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I waited 10 years to talk about Bigfoot with the public. Okay. I know. I totally understand. And Barry had to pretty much, I'm going to say had to beat it out of me to talk about my ET experiences, because he said that he knew that I had them before he ever even really got to know me. Okay, he could tell, and that was something that I was very hesitant to talk about, even to him, because I didn't know him back then very well, but I know him well now, and I'm glad I talked about it.
Oh, so we got another person that's talking about it. So yeah, this is interesting. It happened at my elementary school in Ontario, Canada. So,
yes,
spaceships are just showing up. It's always so wild.
And more. Thank you, Lindsay. Yeah, and look, Carrie Ann in Australia. She says similar thing happened in a Melbourne school here in Australia. So this is all over the world. This is happening, and so yeah, I think there's some more people in the chat too. This chat is going pretty fast tonight, so I can't keep up with it. But yeah, it's happening all over the place. And another place that had an interesting incident with ETs and a UFO that landed, I think it crash landed actually, and that was in Kentucky, and that was back in the 1950s, I believe. And this was not a school, okay, but nonetheless, this was a home. And there were a couple of families that were visiting this other family, and they said that they saw one of the dads, I guess, had gone outside to the well to get a glass of water out of the well out in the yard, and watched a spacecraft crash in the field, and are behind the trees. And the next thing they know, they are surrounded by little white goblins, and they called these things the Kentucky goblins. This was in 1955. The Sutton family and their visiting friends said they saw goblins from outer space out at their secluded farmhouse in rural Hopkinsville, Kentucky. Billy Ray Taylor, of course his name was Billy Ray, and his family were visiting from out of town while fetching water at the well. They saw what looked like a light falling from the sky, and or a flying saucer, and it had exhaust that looked like a rainbow out the back of it. The family dog started barking, and sure enough, the guys looked outside, and this is kind of what they saw right here. And I can tell you, Arkheim, I would be a little concerned if I saw that lurking around my house at night, and I would go get my gun as well, just in case. But they said they saw glowing lights and humanoid figures walking towards the house. The men opened fire on the goblins, and for about 4 hours, they were held up in their house by these little goblins. Now, they eventually were able to run, get out of the house, and go to the sheriff's department, go to the police department, and the cops came out there, and it was a big old fiasco. Okay. So I was given that by Barry as a remote viewing target. And what I was seeing was that there was some kind of fascination with the children. Okay. And that's something that really stood out from that target when I did that. And the data is all on my Patreon if anybody wants to go see it. But what really stood out was the fact that they were so intrigued by the kids, and that's what was in my data, was like there was something about needing to get to the children. Now, maybe I can't say why, because it's like, well, maybe they could communicate with the children telepathically. Maybe they didn't think the children would be scared like the parents were. They didn't have the guns, the boom sticks or whatever. I was getting a sinister feel about it, honestly, when I was remote viewing it, but nonetheless, there is a fascination with children when it comes to the ETs that come to Earth and encounter kids. Okay,
If it has something to do with the fact that they're less indoctrinated and more willing to accept the experience as real.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and they're less threatening. That's what I think. They're less threatening to the children. Um, so, okay, well, those are just a couple of examples. Okay, the aerial school UFO and the Kentucky goblins. Okay, and when it comes to this, but it's just two, and it's a drop in the bucket compared to what all there has been all over the world. Okay, well, let's get to this last target because there's a pretty good bit of data for this one. Now, this is this is kind of deep. Okay, this target's going to be kind of deep. Are you cool with talking about all the data tonight?
Yeah.
You cool with it? Okay. Okay. Publicly and everything. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. All right. Let's get to this one. And okay, so this target right here is actually at your residence right now where you live.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And this is your bedroom. Okay, you're not gonna believe this. I got explosion again. What is up with all these explosions? Okay, blasts and flashes of light and explosions. Every single target, all three of these targets had that. Okay. So in my sensory data, this is for where you live right now at this moment. I picked up on a blast. I wrote blasted, brown, voyeuristic, watching, spying, waiting, split, divided, repaired, silent, and deadly. That's what I wrote down. Now, some of my analytic overlay here, I did pick up on an explosion. I wrote military and Milab. Okay. Now, I didn't know what Milab meant until this past year. Milab is isn't that a military abduction?
Yes.
Okay. So military Milab. I saw a uniform. I wrote down uniform, regiment, archons, tandem, and working. I heard working in tandem. And I wrote down the Truman Show. I wrote paired up or two. I wrote deux, like un, deux, trois, like in French. I wrote deux, so two. Paired up two. And duo. I wrote duo and do. Oh, sorry, I was kind of peacocking on that because I was getting a lot of information. But I heard deadly force. And I wrote down preparation. And then in parentheses, I wrote for what's to come. Preparation for what's to come. And I drew a rectangular box or something for my drawing for my stage 3 data. Okay. What do you think about that so far? That's my stages 1 through 3 data. I picked up on Milab.
I think the 2 is me and Kat, and the fact that we're paired together. And
yeah, me too.
It's all tied back to the Appleton stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So the next page, I went straight into, I was seeing like a circle with like almost like a portal. Like whenever I do like a curvy line spiral. Yes. I couldn't think of it. Yeah. Spiral with the arrow going, like it was going in, like into the spiral. I wrote on target, but I wrote a test subject and targeted test subject is what I wrote down. I picked up on somebody sleeping. I literally wrote sleeping. And when I wrote down remote viewing, which is weird. I've never remote viewing before like that. So
I think someone's remote viewing me.
Yes, I do too. When you're sleeping, actually, and then I wrote sleeper cells, sound frequencies. Right under that portal thing that I drew, I wrote sound frequencies and sleeping, and then I wrote down mass abduction and mass awakening. Abduction.
I kind of think that this whole apartment complex might be like some weird thing.
Targeted.
Yeah, like other people. Not all of them, but I think some of them might also be in the programs. And there's something weird going on with this apartment. Yeah. There's this weird graffiti at the front of the building that's like the Masonic like compass and I don't know what. It's kind of hard to see if it's there. And sometimes we've had weird bleed throughs where like I don't know, like Kat feels like she's hearing like old music old timey music and stuff. We've had weird. There's some weird going on with this place where I feel like
Yeah.
it's not just me. I don't know. I just have this weird feeling it's not just me here. It's not just us.
Yeah. Well, you said something about music and old timey music. Well, I wrote down, not only did I write down sound and frequencies in my sensory data, but I wrote down sound frequency technology as my analytic overlay. So, and I wrote down machine. I was picking up on like a tangible. There's like machines there, and something that's underground. I literally was picking up on something that was underground, and I wrote down a train or a vessel. I wrote down a vessel, a train, something that's like in a rectangular, tubular kind of form going underneath whatever I was remote viewing, like underneath. And but I wrote down sound frequency technology, silent weapons, trains and bullet trains is something I wrote down. So like maybe I don't know what's going on underneath your building. I have no idea, but but I did pick up on something like that. Okay. Which I find that really interesting, especially if you think that there could be other people involved in your apartment building. I mean, what if you're hearing that kind of music and that's some kind of MK Ultra, like alarm or something? And alarm's not the right word.
I don't know. And like
a trigger. You know what I mean?
Some of the songs, and it's Kat that has it happen to her. She like says the songs don't exist. She like looks for them and can't find them. It's
really
weird. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I mean, it's kind of interesting. Remember when we were up at Camp Hero? Brian Minnick, Montauk is Strange. He and Michael Roser and LIB had found some like tapes or something. It was like
they found an old reel-to-reel.
Yeah, that was part of the Montauk program. Montauk project was with the mind control. It was like that old timey music and stuff. And
yep.
So okay, well there could be a connection here. Okay, I'm just saying because it's definitely in my data. Okay, definitely in the data. Okay. And then, so I started picking up, this is really weird because this may not have anything to do with this target, but I was heavily picking up on space is like, I kept getting this message in this target that like space is here on Earth. And I kept writing this down. It's inside Earth. Like space is not out there. Space is here. I kept getting that message and it sounds so weird, right? But I mean, it says inside Earth dimensions and overlapping. Okay. And it's like outer space is not out there. It's right here was my message. And I wrote down overlapped, overlooked, tested, rejected with some of my sensory data. I actually wrote a triangle and I wrote the power of 3. Okay. And the witching hour is important because I wrote that down, the witching hour. Now that's late at night, probably when you guys are sleeping. And I got a lot of sleeping data in here as well. Okay. So something's going on with the Milabs and everything. It's during the witching hour, right? Around 3 to 4 in the morning, maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. You know what? If I were you, I would set up a camera in my bedroom, maybe.
That doesn't matter. They can deactivate that. It doesn't.
I'm just saying. I don't know.
So many people have tried that, and
it
doesn't do anything. It never proves anything.
Yeah. Dang. Okay. Well,
actually, that's kind of a lie. I've seen some people capture some pretty weird shit. But
have you?
Yeah. Like the orbs, especially.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like I've seen people capture a lot of those orbs. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, we've got a great chat today. So thank y'all for being here. Okay, the next thing I wrote down was what I heard was I wrote down manifest destiny. Okay, and the next thing I kept getting a lot of chaos data. Okay, and I literally heard after I wrote down the power of 3 and I drew the triangle underneath it, I wrote order out of chaos.
I think I know what that has to do with, but it's honestly too personal for me to even talk about publicly.
Okay, well you don't talk about it then if you don't want to. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I know that some of it is like I can talk about it. Some of it's kind of my private life, and I'm going to talk about some of it, but some of it I can't.
Yes. Okay. Well, I wrote down order out of chaos. That was right underneath the triangle, just for the audience to know. Okay, and I wrote down the power of 3. And then I wrote down the manifest destiny and chaos and confusion was another thing that I wrote down. And the last thing I wrote down was chaos magic. Does that make sense?
Sounds about right.
Sounds about right. Okay.
Yeah.
And that was the last thing I wrote down. So a lot of chaos, and, order out of chaos. Now, the order out of chaos, that's like Freemasonry stuff, right? Isn't that like or
I mean,
Illuminati or
it's
something?
satanic.
Oh, it is.
That's what
Okay.
the Satanists are into.
Okay.
Like a
Well, that.
keynote. That's like,
Oh.
yeah, like that's like
Well,
the
that.
motto. Order out of
Oh.
chaos.
Okay. Yes. All three targets do seem to go hand in hand with each other. Yes, that's right. Urso, thank you. Okay. Well, that would make sense with the Milabs and the whole. I mean, even the taking and the portals and the doors and the dimensional doorways in the rooms. And I mean, this is something that has followed you your entire life, Arkheim. And I can see this throughout these targets. That's really interesting that you gave me these targets and like we were able to go from like your childhood to your present day with this. And I think that, I mean, this is data. These are blind targets and they all seem to be on target with what you have experienced. And I am super glad that you gave me these. I think it's a great way to kind of back up your experiences in some way. And it's also sad and it's terrifying. And I hate it for you that you've gone through that, especially as a child. But at least you got some data behind it.
Some validation.
Yeah.
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 I can't lie. It is some of the reason why I like to do these shows with you is out of like a selfish need to find more information and validate my testimony. But I mean, if you're gonna be public, the proof is in the pudding, right? And like people should be willing to have people review their stuff and
exactly
prove that it's true.
Yes. That's right. Thorley and Hobson says, the more you learn, the more difficult it is to understand. And that's true. Yeah, it's like the more that I learn about everything in this world, the less I know. Okay. Arkheim, I used to feel like I had everything so figured out. And it just.
That's why people don't, genuinely, a lot of people don't want to open the can of worms because they don't want to have to go through that where you admit to yourself, oh, wow, I really don't know that much.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Yes,
yeah,
I have.
Exactly.
I have been in a realm with a bunch of doors.
Oh, that's Amelius.
I know exactly what you're talking about, Amelius, and exactly what you're talking about.
Really?
It's a hallway with nothing but doors. Everything's all white. I've been there. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that is wild. And that sounds like oops, something very heavy just hit the side of my house out here. Okay, we're having a bad storm right now. I hadn't already mentioned that we're having a bad storm. It's a limb. Okay, I can tell. Joe, that's interesting. Hey, Joe, he says, the Phoenix, order out of chaos. That's so wild because what project were you a part of there?
Project Phoenix 2.
Yeah. What exactly was Project Phoenix? Can you explain that to the audience?
That was Project Phoenix 1 was figuring out how to reanimate a person, make them live forever through cloning. That's what Project Phoenix 1 was, which was needed in order to make Project Phoenix 2, which is the time travel project. In order to make it even possible, we need to be able to live forever through cloning. So effectively, I have been alive for thousands of years in this body, in this incarnation as a human being that looks like this. Sometimes a little bit different, and sometimes they put me in different bodies too. I've been an Asian guy before. I've been on like a Japanese breakaway. Yeah, it's super weird. Like, it's super weird.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, this is so wild that you're bringing this up, and this is something I've been covering for the past week now, talking about cloning. I've been talking about recycled celebrities. Okay, and when I say recycled, that sounds like such a flippant term when we put it this way, because what you just said is like so real.
They clone them. I mean, there been celebrities who literally said if I don't listen to them, they'll just kill me and replace me with a clone.
Yeah, that's what Kanye says. Yeezy.
Yeah.
That's right.
So I think that's real. And also, I know him from the programs. Kanye. He was on Centurion 5.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, that's wild. Barry said the other day, he was like, "Well, I've been told that Kanye watches your show and my show too," talking about me and Barry shows. And I was like, okay. Never know who's watching, I guess.
That's fucking nuts. Yeah, I would be surprised. I think he might know who I am. I don't know. But the Donda 2 album, I helped him make that.
Oh my gosh, wow. Okay, so can I ask you then? Okay, since you are very, this is wild. See, I told everybody, y'all watch my shows, it all comes together, right? And I was talking about immortal vampires, or we're looking at pictures of like people today compared to like historical pictures of people from like the 12th century, 11th century, kings and queens and famous people and politicians. Those look like the exact replica of people who are celebrities today. How do we Can we explain that by like Project Phoenix?
I
Could
think
that
so.
be? Yeah. These are the same people, you think? Are they clones, or what what is your
Yeah.
opinion?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I also think that there are people who just can live a lot longer, like hundreds of years. I think
Hmm.
that the the how fast we die is like artificially sped up, because if you have a lot, like we were created as a slave species. You need us to live a long enough time to be able to do our job and be slaves, but not long enough to where we can self reflect and figure out the universe and the stars and everything else, so we realize our own self worth, so we don't want to be slaves anymore, right? So I feel like we have been
Right.
are like, look at like how long parrots live and stuff. Like our lifespans are stupid short. Like it's kind of crazy if you think about it. Like I still feel like a kid. I'm in my early 30s. You know what I mean? It's like, how the hell am I supposed to be like a full grown ass adult? Like, it just seems like our lives are just weirdly, pitifully short. Almost, doesn't it? Almost feel that way sometimes.
Yeah, it
That's why
does.
you got to take
It's
advantage
weird.
of life and live life to the
Yeah,
fullest, because it really is a short ride.
that's right. I know. I live every day like it's. I mean, I'm trying to enjoy life right now. I really am, because we just don't know how long we're going to be here. I've lost way too many friends and family
Me
and
too.
stuff, and I know that our this every day could be our last. Okay,
Yep.
so don't sit around worrying about everything. Just it is what it is. Keep on trucking, y'all. Okay. Try to have a little bit of fun while you're doing it. Yes, Bigfoot Dwarf. He says, I want to look into the guy who went missing looking for Kanye's house in Montana. What? I hadn't heard about that. Okay. But I'm sure we'll have to look into him. Maybe we could remote view that. Okay. That could be a remote viewing target, actually. Um, but Oh, Moondog says transhumanism is their goal. Yes, there's a big transhumanism push right now for sure. But that's really interesting about these celebrities, and the way I put it was recycled celebrities, because I don't know how else to say it. Um, you know, Clones. I mean, there's like celebrities that look like Zoe Deschanel and Katy Perry, for instance, right? They look like the same person. Are those two different people? Or those clones? Do you know what I'm talking about, Arkeem? Have you ever noticed things like that?
I never noticed that part,
Okay.
but I
Yeah.
have noticed like there's celebrities where it's like some movie actor from like the 20s that most people have forgotten about now, and then there's some
Mhm.
guy like now acting and they look exactly the same, and it's like they're
Yeah.
very, I'm not saying they are the same person, but it's very likely that they are the same person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They have the technology to do that, and we know that all the musicians and all the actors and stuff like that are all part of the cult. They're all part of
Yes.
like the Illuminati or whatever you want to call it.
Oh yeah, big time. And actually, some of the examples I showed were like Lana Turner and Beyonce Knowles. Okay, and Beyonce is big time.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
she's
yeah, uh, Triangle, the Illuminatis, whatever,
yeah.
and her husband too, and like that. And I even got
It
into like the
bothers
whole.
me so much how people try to laud her like she's this creative music and her music's so great and da da da. She's not even. You need 20 people to work on your song. You ain't shit. Like what?
Oh no!
I don't even think
Don't
she's
come
very.
after us, babies. Same
I'm
people.
sorry. I mean, and it's a matter of music is subjective. Some people think she's great. Maybe she is great to some people, whatever. But I just don't get it. And
Yeah,
I, I'm sure you've seen all the stuff of how weird it is. How many people feel the need to thank Beyonce when they get awards and
yeah,
stuff. It's
that's
like they
weird,
feel
right?
bad for getting that lady has like
Yeah.
dirt on people and is like high in their stuff. You can
Probably
tell.
witchcraft. See,
Mhm.
what I've always been told is there's a lot of like witchcraft that goes on with all of the, there's a thin line between a musician and a magician. Okay, is what Caleb said. I don't know if Caleb's in the chat tonight, but it is what it is. Okay, and so my biggest question is though, like, how are these celebrities today the celebrities of yesteryear, if that's a word? Okay, are they the same people? Are they living forever? Are they clones? I don't know. Vampires? drinking the
think it
blood
could
and all
be.
that stuff? Yeah. Okay. Well, well, it's all very interesting.
I
So
keep yawning. I'm sorry. I need to like slap myself in the
somebody
face or something.
somebody in the chat was like, sometimes when you're talking about stuff like we're talking about, it makes you tired. Okay,
Yeah,
so
it's exhausting.
I totally get it. I'm tired
Yeah.
too. Of course, we've got a big old storm hitting right now, so still over at my house. But yeah, well, we don't have to be here all night because this has been a fantastic show already. Okay, and I hope that you've gotten some answers tonight. Over some of the things that you've experienced, Arkeem, and I am super, super blessed that you're here, and that I'm able to do this kind of stuff
Yeah,
for you.
no, I'm blessed that you're able to help with this and look into this stuff. And yeah, we can wrap it up. Uh, yeah, it was a good show.
There's Area 50. Yeah, well, it's how do you feel about it now? What is your overall view on everything that we talked about tonight? Just
Well, I'm definitely still in the programs.
okay.
I've felt lately that like I really haven't had much happen to me. It feels like my life's been pretty normal lately. For the past like I quit drinking like a month ago. And honestly, that's just my life has just gotten a lot better ever since I stopped drinking alcohol. It really is as bad as
Oh,
everyone
that's
says it is, I
huge.
guess. Yeah,
Good for
and
you.
yeah, thanks. And
That's
yeah, it
wonderful.
just seems like nothing. I almost feel like they took advantage of like you get drunk and you fall asleep drunk. It's a perfect time to take somebody. I feel like they really took advantage of that, and I feel like they're messing with me less because I'm more self aware. Maybe like I don't have my guard down as much. But
Yeah.
from your information that you gave me, it sounds like there's still stuff going on.
Yeah. There might be. There might be. It does seem like that. I mean, you guys, how long have y'all lived there? Because you only moved back about a year ago, right? Up to where you guys live now.
Yeah, we've lived here for about a year and a half now, so we haven't been here super long.
Yeah. So, and I was remote viewing your bedroom, and I was picking up on the Milab stuff. So could be. And I don't want you to live in fear or anything, Arkeem. And I
I
feel
don't.
kind of bad.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, that's fine. I mean, I already know. I always know stuff's going on. Like I know that when I go to bed, like stuff can happen. My alters deal with it. I don't really have to, but at the same time, it's me. But you know what I mean. But
Yeah.
like, I just, I'll just put it that I have really rough days, but the coping mechanisms they use in the memory wiping and stuff, they're pretty good at it, but it doesn't always work.
Yeah. Well, um, well, I'm always here for you. Okay. I consider you a good friend. You and Kat both, and I
Same
am.
back to you.
Yeah. I'm always here for you guys, and yeah, I think we all bonded pretty well when we were up at Montauk too, and getting to meet you and Kat at the Journey to Truth conference. What was that, about 2 years ago? A couple
Yeah,
years ago.
that was a lot of
Yeah,
fun. Yeah.
that was the first time I met you guys, and
Yeah, you were one of the first people I met. We sat at
yeah,
the same table with you and Barry. That was nice
yeah,
too.
we went. And I was telling y'all to go get some lunch or something. We sat down and had lunch together. I think
Yeah.
when we were out there. Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah. Well, I hope I get to see you again soon and stuff. And I know that we will. Well, we got more work to do together. I know we do.
Yeah, we'll
And
see. I'll see you around, and of course we'll continue to do shows like this. I mean, I got more
okay.
targets that I could give you probably, and other stuff, that ideas that I've had that we still haven't done it yet. So we'll keep in touch.
Yes, we will for sure. Thank you. Everybody in the chat, so sweet tonight. I appreciate all you guys so much. And yeah, I wanted to see if there's any questions or anything. Everybody had any questions for Arkeem before we go tonight. And yeah, everybody's just saying congratulations to you for being sober and stuff, and not drinking. And yeah, so this has been awesome. Okay, well, let's see. I was going to show your book. I've got your book on my bookshelf right here behind me. I was going to grab it real quick. Do you want to tell the audience about your book and
Yeah,
how people can find you?
sure. Yeah, I've got my book, Time and Space Unlimited by Arkheim Ra. It's on Amazon. I think I'm actually probably going to be doing like a sale on it soon, so where I lower the price a little bit.
Okay.
Just because it's been out for a while, to kind of celebrate and say thank you, and maybe get some people who are on the fence about buying it to buy it. But yeah, I have that book, which is really just like my story, and like just kind of like a deeper dive into like my background and how I got to the point where I'm doing shows like this and stuff. And then also, I've got my YouTube channel, Disclosure Now with an exclamation point. I just did a video today on like AI and the surveillance state and augmented reality and just like a lot of these kind of scary technologies that are coming out of the woodwork right now, and what they have been used for in alternate timelines and futures, and how we need to stay vigilant to make sure that that doesn't happen here on Earth. And also, I just want to say too that I'll be on Aquarius Rising Africa tomorrow with Shanti, and we'll be talking about Ordo Templum Nephilim, the Church of the Holy Ghost Rider, which is the Swedish cult connected to Centurion 5 and the music industry. That, you know, when I talked about like how I work with Kanye, that it was connected to that. And I'm going to be talking about a lot of stuff that I haven't talked about in a long time, or actually I've never talked about publicly.
Oh,
There's
really?
there's new memories, stuff like, you know, Britney Spears is Elvis's daughter and things like that, like because they're all the time soldiers, and like like, you know, John Lennon was a Montauk time soldier and stuff like that. I mean, I'm going to talk a little bit about Montauk because it's connected to the Ordo Templum Nephilim stuff, but yeah, I'm just going to be talking about some stuff that's never ever been talked about ever anywhere.
Oh my
So
God.
it should be an interesting show tomorrow, and that's going to be at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, and 3 o'clock your time.
Oh yeah.
Or wait,
No,
no,
it's actually it's
wait.
one. It's one.
Sorry,
Yeah,
I
1
was
p.m.
in my I'm
Yeah.
messed up in my brain there. Yeah.
Oh my God, it's all good. That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, you always bring the heat with the information when you come on the shows, Arkheim, and I really appreciate that because you're actually talking, and you and I are actually doing work that like not a lot of people are doing right now. Okay, like with the whole remote viewing and able to really like get some good data on some blind targets when it comes to things like the Montauk project and Project Phoenix
Yeah,
and
it's
all the things
always
you've been through. I think that's important.
it's always really interesting because, like, as for the viewers, I give her just numbers, and for me, it's just always so validating when she gets all this, extrapolates all this information that, wow, I can hear that storm.
Can you
That's
hear my?
wild. Yeah, I can
Do you hear
hear
the
it.
thunder? Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, that's
That's not
wild.
even as loud as I had the mute button push. I had like limbs hitting the house and everything. It was really loud.
Wow. Well, you need
We've
to
been having some killer storms lately. I don't know
yeah.
what's up with that.
I almost kind of missed that. Like I remember Wisconsin. There's been some. We how, man, the Midwest is funny. Like it's like they're on the news. They're like, "Don't go outside. It's dangerous. There's tornadoes and
Tornadoes.
da da da." You see
Yeah.
like your neighbor. He's like outside in his like underwear, like looking around, and like it's just like the wind's going like sideways. Like,
Oh my God. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if there was a guy out there in his underwear holding an American flag during a tornado. I don't know. I love it. I love
yeah,
this
no,
country. I'm just saying.
just people just like, yeah, no, like they're telling you on the news, like, don't go outside, it's dangerous. Everyone's like, this is, are you seeing this? Are you looking at this?
Right.
Like, we gotta go look at it. Oh my God! Like I remember during
Get
one storm.
shelter.
I
Yeah.
remember during one storm, the neighbor's trampoline was flying away, and they all had to like run out and like run after the trampoline. Like,
Oh yeah. That sounds funny. Oh my gosh. Oh, in your book, I did find your book. It was in my bookshelf right behind me. You guys, this is Arkheim's book. Please go grab you a copy of this. Can you get this? You get this on Amazon, right, Arkheim?
yeah, it's on Amazon, and
Okay.
yeah, I just really appreciate everybody being here and listening to what we have to say, and maybe I hope everybody or people learn something, and I thank people for like believing this stuff, for looking into this stuff. It's becoming mainstream. Let's be honest, this is all becoming mainstream.
Yes.
We're the pioneers, and we're ready for one that it's gonna get crazy. So
Oh,
yeah.
what do you see in the future with all this? So you think that it's just more disclosures coming out? I know we've got
Yeah, that's
several
definitely
people in
going
the
down
chat
that
tonight that are
path.
part of these programs.
It's definitely going down that path. I mean, when you
Hmm.
look at even like, I've got a lot of different opinions on a lot of things, but even if you look at like the way like um the right now it's on the tongue of like the actual government. They're talking about conspiracies, they're talking about aliens, they're talking about this stuff. They're not providing as much as you'd hope. It's kind of been some nothing burgers. I've been a little bit disappointed with some of the leaks and some of the information that they're getting out there. But like
Yeah.
it's just the fact that they're willingly like public officials are now kind of being like, yeah, this stuff is happening. it's kind of like a slow burn. Like it's like, all right, well then let's get to the fucking point, guys. What is happening?
Yeah,
And
what is
they're kind of
what
taking
is happening?
they're taking their sweet time with it. And there's a lot of stuff they don't want to tell us. I think even some of these people are like, we need to release these files. We need to release these files. They don't understand the implications, and the people who know maybe a little bit more than they do are freaking out. But I think at this point you just can't get the lid on it anymore. You just can't. Like so.
Because you got people like us doing all this, all these
Yeah,
YouTube
and
channels,
that's honestly
right?
what did it too. People need to remember
Yeah.
that. Like, yeah, it's nice to see some suit on TV talk about UFOs or the JFK files or whatever, but at the end of the day, why do you think that guy even got there in the first place? It's because people like us got people stirred up enough and frankly pissed off enough about it in order where they want answers. People want answers. It wasn't the government stoking the fire and getting people angry. It was us. So yeah, so we're seeing the fruits of it slowly but surely. I mean, it's taken some time, but as with anything like this is some seriously classified intel. It's kind of hard to get the information out there. It's not like they can just come out with it overnight. So fingers crossed. I mean, I've seen in other timelines like the next 6 to 8 years, wild things happen. Things happen. Like, and disclosure events happen that they just can't. I mean, in some timelines, they're just spaceships just start appearing over cities. They just uncloak. They're just giant ships, and the government just has to answer after that. That's what happens because they talk about this an agreement ending, and once the agreement's over, then they don't have to cloak anymore and stuff. Well, I've literally seen it in other timelines where that actually happens, and just one day there's just giant ships in the sky and stuff. And everyone's freaking out, and the government can't just be like, "Oh, we don't know." They don't have that option anymore at that point. So it can happen in a million different ways. I'm not saying that's what was going to happen in this timeline, but I've seen that happen before. I think our government would rather not have it happen that way, because when it does happen that way, it causes mass panic and chaos. Like, I think they'd rather be the ones to be able to give the message rather than just spaceships. Like, I'm talking huge. They're so big. They're like miles,
gigantic.
They're like miles long. Like, they almost cover the whole fucking sky. They're so big. Just over your head. That's gonna freak you. That's gonna scare you if you see that. You know what I mean?
There's been movies. Well, and then we've also got like the other side of like, well, there's a fake alien invasion coming, Project Bluebeam, and all that kind of stuff. I mean, do you think it's going to be like a mix between like the real?
I think that unfortunately, well, let's look at the disinformation age on the internet, right? The disinformation age that we have on the internet, where it's hard to tell what's real. Well, with this Project Bluebeam, they can do that in the real 3D world where you're looking at the sky above you and you don't even know if you're looking at something real. So, are UFOs real and aliens real and stuff like that? Yes. Do they have the technology to make a fake UFO appear in the sky and stuff like that and trick and confuse people? Yes, that's also true. So it's like, oh man, and who knows? Maybe that will be what they might have some crazy. And a lot of people talked about it with Project Bluebeam, like they're gonna psyop us. Like, everyone's like, no, the truth's gonna come out and it's gonna get better. Da 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 da. And a lot of people are like, no, they're just gonna psyop us even harder with Project Bluebeam.
I mean, they might.
I don't know. I feel like
they'll try.
They'll try to stir the pot and make it harder to find out what the truth is. But I really do think that there are a lot of ETs that don't like what our government's doing and don't. I don't know. I feel like I just feel like it's not. It's the continuing to go down the path that we've been going on, where we just plug our ears and go la 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 la, not happening, da da da, and just pretending like all this stuff's not real. That's gonna hit a brick wall soon. Like, there's no, like, whether the government comes, it's kind of like I'm saying, like, whether the government comes public, it's either A, the government comes public and just says, all right, the stuff's real, or B, spaceships are gonna appear in the sky, or some crazy event is gonna happen that they don't control, which will make them look bad, will make them look terrible if that's what happens.
Yeah.
So it's in their best interest to be the ones who are the bearers of the bad news, even if it is bad news. Even if it's like, hey, sorry, we lied to you. Well, it's better than like aliens appearing out of nowhere and be like, hey, your government lied to you. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I think it's pretty amazing that you chose to come forward and tell the world about what you've experienced. And I think it's helped a lot of people in our team. You have helped a lot of people. Okay. And you've set the groundwork. You are a trailblazer. And when it comes down to not knowing what's real and what's not, that's why we all have to be tuned into our psychic abilities and to go with our guts and to understand the difference between, what feels good and what doesn't, what feels right and what doesn't. And we all are our own. We're all, like, not only are we tuning forks, but we are all I want to say lie detectors too. And you just got to be able to tune into it and decide for you what's real and what's not. Okay, because we can't trust the news, right, Arkheim?
Yeah, and I'd
Yeah.
say like your gut helps, but also like you can use logical deduction and reasoning and and facts and stuff like that too. It helps, but your gut is an important tool that more people need to be utilizing for sure. It can help a lot with just in life in general, not like disclosure, but just like just life in general. Like go with your gut feeling. That usually is the best thing anyone can do.
Yeah, that's right. Go with your gut, y'all, and don't live in fear. I don't care how bad it gets. Do not live in fear. Okay, we are more than this physical body, and I say that all the time. It's true. We are more than this physical body, and just know that. And you are limitless. Okay, and if Arkheim and I can have, I'm going to say, the courage to get up here and do all this, because this is pretty wild what you and I are doing, Arkheim, right? It's pretty wild. And we've had the courage, we found it to get up here and to spill our guts and to, showcase our psychic stuff up here for you guys and our memories and everything. You guys can do it too.
There's definitely people that think we're crazy and
Oh yeah.
talk
It's
a lot
okay.
smack.
I don't care.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Well, I just feel like also with your show too, it's like I don't see how anyone could ever really not like what you do, because it's like you're just asking questions. That's mostly what you're doing, right? Like you're just asking questions and like looking at stuff that other. I don't see how anyone. I don't see how Jessica. I know you do have haters because just the world is what the world is, but I just don't see how, because you.
Well, thank you. Well, you met me in person. I'm pretty cool.
Yeah, you're pretty laid back.
I ain't here to hurt nobody. Okay, but people get threatened. Okay, when you're out here telling the truth, and there's people that aren't telling the truth. Okay,
yeah,
that's where the problem comes in.
Entirely is when, for money and clout and all the things, and people that just want to. We've talked about certain friends we've had that we don't really talk to anymore. They're just like, they just want to be famous. Even if
that happens too.
Yeah, even if they're real, some people that gets in the way of their honest testimony and stuff. It's like I don't care about. Like I want the information to get out there, but I don't care about being the most popular and speaking at conferences and selling the most books. I care about telling the truth, and I realize that sometimes telling the truth, it'd be nice to live in a perfect world where that gets you to speak at all the conferences and that gets you all the opportunities. But actually, it's the opposite sometimes. But that doesn't mean that I'm going to sell myself out and not tell the truth as I know it in order to gain more clout or whatever. That's counterproductive, because the whole reason why I'm doing this is to get the truth out there, to get. I've participated in some things that I'm not proud of, that are really evil, that are really bad, and I want to acknowledge that. I want humanity to acknowledge it, and I want us to, grieve for Montauk, like have the Rose Garden for Montauk and stuff like that. Like, this is not, for me. This is bigger than me telling stories about aliens and stuff. Like, this is about getting justice for myself and for a lot of different victims of these programs. And we just have to keep the fire burning, because there's a lot of talk of their bases are shut down, and any day now they're gonna come on TV and tell the truth. And it's like, I'd love that. I hope that's true. Like, I'm not saying it is. I don't believe it myself personally. I think it's all hogwash. But if we keep talking like we are, the more likely it is that does become true, where, the president does have to go on TV and address it. And, they have to basically pay for what they did. I mean, it's like the people who were aware, because a lot of the government wasn't aware. They're not guilty, but the ones who were, they need to. Something needs to happen. They need to they need to dissolve the agencies that have participated in this stuff. Like, for instance, like the CIA, all the stuff that they participate in that's illegal. They need to we shouldn't have a CIA anymore. They've done so much illegal stuff that they shouldn't be allowed to exist anymore. Period. And we might see that within the next 10 years,
Yeah.
maybe even sooner with what's going on. So we'll see. But
Yeah.
yeah,
It's well, it's I don't know. Things are changing. Times are changing.
fast.
I've
That's
been
what happened.
I've been
That's the
covering a lot of the war against humanity that's happening. It's been happening, and this is part of it. Okay,
Mhm.
what we're talking about tonight. It's there's and it takes people like yourself to get out and talk about your experiences when it comes to some of these covert black programs and things
Yeah,
like
and
that
there's a
that
lot
people are
of us
scared to
too.
talk about.
It's just not just me. And, there's tons of people. There's quite a few of us now, and a lot of us are like, yeah, I know him from Mars. I know that so and so from here and there. We collaborate each other's testimony. It gets pretty wild when you start looking into it, where we have the same memories. I mean, like we remember the same stuff. We can
Hmm.
finish each other's sentences and stuff like that. I mean, like as an experiencer, like that's wild when you find somebody else who remembers the same stuff as you, and you're sharing these memories and stuff like that. And you're like, and then this, like, and then what happened, and that you let them finish just to verify to yourself, like this is a real event. Like I've had that happen where I'm like, we did this, we did that, we did that, and then what happened? And they're like, and then this, and that happened. It's like mind explosion. Like it proves to you it's real. It's not. You know what I mean? Like just like implanted memories or whatever. Some people try to say that we're all crazy and it's all implanted memories. Nah. There's too many other. There's been a lot of different verifications that this is real. There's been a lot of different things to verify that this isn't all just a bunch of people mass hallucinating. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh yeah, and yeah, it's really interesting to be able to meet you guys in person too, with the people who've been involved with the secret space program, and to hear all the testimony. It is fascinating. It really is, and it's a massive operation too, and I just for it to be there's so many things that have been covered up and hidden from the public for so long. My forte are Bigfoots. Okay, that's what I talk about. I go out in the woods and chase monsters. Okay, some people call them monsters. I go out and I go chase things that aren't supposed to exist that do exist out there, and so that's my angle on all this disclosure is trying to figure out where all these missing people are going, and if the cryptids are connected in some way, and what does the government know about cryptids, Arkheim? Okay, and so it takes somebody out of every community and every walk of life to come forward to talk about these things, and now is the time. It's the
Yeah,
time. Yeah.
absolutely. And it's like you said, from every walk of life. There's been doctors, lawyers, farmers, like some of the most intelligent people in prestigious positions, and some of the most normal, down to earth people all
Hmm.
have had experiences like this. Like this is real. I don't know. It's just like if you look into it at all, it's very hard to deny it. There's just when people say there's no evidence, they're just not looking. That's BS. There's tons of evidence.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's all sorts of evidence, but yes, people are still being silenced, and some of the most brave whistleblowers to ever come forward have lost their lives doing it, and so it
Yeah,
does it
like
does take
Max
a lot of courage
Spears.
to do this. Yeah.
Yeah, Max Spears would be an example of somebody who literally got killed for
Hmm.
talking about the same stuff as me.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Well, there's quite the network of support these days,
Yeah,
and that
yeah,
it may not have been so big when Max went forward.
it's things are a lot better
Hmm.
than they used to be.
Yeah.
We have support groups. We got each other's back. Shout out to Misha Johnson and her support groups. She does a great job with her support groups. They're really helpful to a lot of people. And yeah, it's nice that we have a community and that we can all be there for each other.
Absolutely. Awesome. Yes, Arkham. And speaking of community, I can't remember if you mentioned your YouTube channel yet. Did you mention your YouTube channel to everybody?
I did, but yeah, you go ahead and
Okay.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
and then on Patreon I'm just Arkheim Ra.
Okay. Arkheim Ra on Patreon, you guys.
Five
Please go
bucks a
over there.
month.
Oh, $5 a month. That's
Yeah, it's
awesome.
super cheap,
Okay.
and there's a lot of stuff over there that's not on my YouTube. So
Okay. Well, you guys please go over and support Arkeem on his Patreon. It's Arkeem Ra on Patreon, and Disclosure Now with the exclamation point on YouTube, you guys. And so yes, and your book also is it's Time and Space Unlimited: The Implications of Portal Technologies Explained. This is the Blucifer, right? You and I did a show on Blucifer a while back on Spaced Out Radio. You remember
yeah,
that? Yeah. That's Blucifer at the Denver airport, everybody. Okay. And it's also what this is symbol for the Montauk project too, right? Horse?
No, it's the symbol of the. Basically, a horse standing like that is that, and or a horse with two lightning bolt sword,
Hmm.
behind it. It's the symbol for the PSYOPs division of the military, psychological
Oh,
operations, which Montauk was an extension of and a part of. They work with each other.
okay. Oh my gosh. I knew there was some kind of connection there. Okay. Well, thank you for explaining that. And thank you for being here
Of
tonight, our
course.
team. I really appreciate you so much. And you guys, thank you to everybody who's been here tonight, everybody who's been in the chat. And I want to thank Jennifer Patterson for the super sticker and Awen Realta. Thank you so much for becoming a member of the Hunt Club. And if you guys want to become a member, just hit that join button on my YouTube channel. And I put exclusive content out there as well. And I want to thank everybody for being patient with us tonight. We had 3 targets, and if you guys want to check out any of those targets, want to join my Patreon, that's where all the raw data lies. Okay, and it sits right there. I've got all 3 targets there. I've got pictures and all that kind of stuff in there. So it's pretty much my whole presentation is over there in my Patreon. So, all right, y'all, have a wonderful night. Please come back and see me this weekend. I have my buddy Kenny coming on Saturday night. We're going to bye, Arkheim. You just left. See you, Arkheim. And thank you so much for Arkheim being here tonight. So, but Kenny will be here on Saturday night. We're going to be talking about werewolf sightings, real werewolf sightings and stalkings. And I say stalk, sounds like stockings. Werewolves wear stockings. I'm just kidding. Oh man, they probably do before they change, all the women, who knows? But anyways, we're going to be talking about werewolves and dogmen. He's with the North American Dogman Project, and we're going to be getting deep into dogman on Saturday night. It's going to be a fantastic show. I cannot wait. And I can't wait to see you guys again. Please stay safe out there, y'all. I'm going to go hunker down. We're having a pretty bad storm, and we've been storming it up ever since we started the show tonight. Okay. Well, I'm sending all my love and light to you guys. Have a great night, y'all. And I'll see you next time. Bye.